The Testimony of Ian Saether, from the Scrolls of the Artist. On my journey to ancient Egypt and the meaning of the two paintings. My name is Ian Saether. I was not born in ancient Egypt, nor did I become Pharaoh, nor was I the madman wandering beneath the palace walls. I am an artist, and perhaps that is why I eventually found myself standing where both of them once stood. Artists have always traveled strangely. Some travel by ships, some by horses, some by memory, some by imagination. I traveled by questions. People have asked me why I became so fascinated by the two paintings. The answer is simple, because I realized they were not paintings about Egypt. They were paintings about us. When I first arrived upon the banks of the Nile, I expected to discover secrets carved into stone. Instead, I found conversations, old men debating beneath sycamore trees, children pretending to become kings, fishermen imagining distant lands, priests wondering what ordinary life might feel like, builders dreaming of becoming poets. The paintings already existed before anyone painted them. They existed inside people. One afternoon, I sat beside an elderly scribe. He watched the workers constructing another temple. I asked him, "Who envies whom?" He smiled. "The poor envy the king." I nodded. He continued, "The king envies the forgotten." At first, I thought he was speaking poetically. Years later, I understood he was speaking literally. As an artist, I have learned something curious. Every work of art begins with a frustration, not necessarily suffering, but longing, the desire to briefly experience another center of consciousness. When a musician writes music, they ask, what would joy sound like? When a painter paints, they ask, what would another pair of eyes notice? When a novelist writes, they ask, what life could I temporarily inhabit? Art is not the manufacture of images. Art is the migration of attention. The so-called madman did not truly desire gold. He desired perspective. The throne merely became the language through which his longing could speak. Likewise, I do not believe the Pharaoh wished to abandon responsibility. I believe he longed, if only for a single afternoon, to walk through a marketplace without everyone changing their behavior because he had arrived. The ordinary man dreams upward. The ruler dreams outward. While studying Egyptian reliefs, I noticed something historians rarely mention. The pharaoh is almost never depicted alone. Around him are scribes, engineers, priests, soldiers, farmers, astronomers, architects, ambassadors. The image tells us something profound. Power is never solitary. It is surrounded by relationships. The crown is merely the visible center of an invisible network. Then I understood why the second painting moved me more than the first. The madman's thought bubble contains one image. The pharaoh's mind contains thousands. His thought bubble can only show one ordinary man, but beyond that bubble stretches an entire kingdom demanding his attention. The painting captures only a single thought. Responsibility contains countless others left unseen. The oracle of my imagination once placed a wooden plank before me. She asked, "Which side is the real plank?" I answered as most people would, "Both." She smiled. "Then why do people insist consciousness has only one side?" That question has remained with me ever since. I came to believe the two paintings are not opposites. They are complementary surfaces, like two sides of one piece of wood. One surface asks, "Who might I become?" The other asks, "Whom have I forgotten while becoming who I am?" Between those two questions, human civilization unfolds. Some readers have asked whether the madman is truly insane. I cannot answer. Others ask whether the pharaoh is truly wise. I cannot answer that either. The paintings refuse simple judgments. Instead, they invite participation. Who do you become while looking at them? That is the experiment. The viewer completes the artwork. As I prepared to leave Egypt, I walked once more beside the Nile at sunrise. I imagined the pharaoh standing on one bank, the wandering man upon the other. Neither called across the water. Neither argued. The river itself carried both reflections. For a brief moment, the surface became perfectly still. King and wanderer appeared as one continuous image. Then the wind returned. The reflections separated. The river continued flowing. That morning I made a promise to myself. If I were ever to paint these two figures, I would not paint them as enemies, nor as symbols of success and failure. I would paint them as two human beings reaching toward experiences they could never completely possess. for that is the condition of every artist. We spend our lives borrowing the eyes of others, knowing we can never permanently keep them. Today, when people ask me what the paintings mean, I simply answer, they are mirrors disguised as history. The madman and the Pharaoh are not the subjects. They are invitations. One invites us to imagine a life beyond our own. The other reminds us that every life, no matter how elevated or humble, contains unseen burdens and unseen dreams. If these paintings have taught me anything, it is this. The greatest work of art is not the image hanging on a wall. It is the quiet transformation that occurs in the mind of the person standing before it. And perhaps that is why the Nile still flows. Not merely through Egypt, but through every imagination willing to cross from one side of the human experience to the other.